Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about A Quiet Place Part 2. And this movie is directed by John Krasinski, who directed the first A Quiet Place. And I remember liking that movie when it came out, but as time went on, I started liking it less and less because it just wasn't aging well in my memory, and I haven't seen it since it first came out, so couldn't really tell you anything about it because I've forgotten most of it already. And this new one, wasn't really looking forward to it, but decided to check it out because it was on Netflix, and I was like, nah, why not? And there were, I guess, a couple things I liked about it, but overall, I just found this movie to be a mess. There were good performances in this movie, and I really liked Cillian Murphy in this movie. I thought he was a good addition. More on him later. And I didn't hate his character. I kind of liked what they gave him. And also, the movie isn't terribly shot in every scene. I wasn't upset with how this movie looked visually or how things were presented visually. Not bad. Didn't ruin the movie for me. But overall, I thought this movie was stupid and just very inspired by other films that I just wished I was watching instead, because this movie just felt like a mixture of a bunch of different movies, like 28 Days Later, Children of Men. There were a couple moments that reminded me of Terminator 2 Judgment Day or Jurassic Park. Like, there were moments that reminded me of those two movies, and I was mostly reminded of 28 Days Later, and that probably has to do with the fact that I have both seen 28 Days Later somewhat recently, and also with Cillian Murphy's inclusion. Not to downgrade his performance or anything like that, because, he's good in the movie. He doesn't do the film a disservice, but there were just so many things in this movie that have been done better, and I've seen been done better, but this movie just doesn't execute them properly. And the opening scene for this movie I just found to be incredibly pointless, and I'm sure you've all seen it, and I believe it was in the trailer, where it was basically just Warner. It was from the perspective of going on inside the car, and it reminded me heavily of Children of Men. I'm sure there might have been another movie that came before Children of Men that has done something similar to that, but man, in Children of Men it was so much more impressive and went on for so much longer. The CG on the alien creatures or whatever, very inconsistent. There were points where it looked bad, there were points where it looked fine, and it was just too inconsistent, and I just wish that it had more consistency. The pacing for this movie is slow. This movie never once justifies its runtime. And this movie isn't even 2 hours long, and it wastes so much time in the first half of this movie. Like, the first half of this movie, with the exception of introducing us to Cillian Murphy's character eventually, and with the exception of the opening scene that doesn't need to be there, nothing happens. And I don't even really consider that to be a spoiler. Like, how do you spoil nothing happening? If that's even possible. The music in the movie was very poorly used. It just was in scenes that just did not need it at all. And also, the music independently of the film, I found to be incredibly forgettable. Like, I've heard it before, I don't need it in this movie. If it was taken out of the movie would either be better or no different. Somewhere in between there. Not worse. There were some really annoying jump scares in this movie, and we also get sounds that are coming from the film independently of the film's universe. I also didn't really care for any of the characters. They were just very hollow for me. I didn't really find anyone interesting, and the ending for this movie, the last 25 minutes felt tacked on or just thrown in, like it didn't need to happen. And also the very end of this movie, without spoiling anything, was very abrupt. I was like, that was a weird place to end this movie. Why did you do that? And that's about all I have to say about A Quiet Place Part 2. It was bad. I did not need to see it. And I would recommend that you not watch this movie and instead watch movies like 28 Days Later, watch Children of Men, or movies that reminded me of, or moments that reminded me of really great films like Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Jurassic Park. Like, any of those movies, watch those instead of this movie. You'll enjoy them infinitely more, whereas this movie, I can't see you enjoying very much. Or at least not from my perspective. So with all that being said, I'm going to give A Quiet Place Part 2 a 3 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of A Quiet Place Part 2, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for City Heat. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.